Hey, hello,
What up? What up? What up? What up?
Stephen Horney. We're going coast to coast. I'm on the west. He's on the east. The west coast is the best coast. No, I don't know. Is the
Beast?
least
That was
the beast?
no Beast. Whatever.
Strong Island. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Queens. What? I'm from Jersey though.
Yeah. The armpit of America.
So yeah, it smells really bad in some places. We earned that nickname for sure.
I mean, I grew up in Brooklyn, so yeah, that was how we always thought of that.
It's straight up nasty in some parts.
But there's really nice parts. Yeah, there's really nice parts.
No, yeah, it's just really like on the part that everybody sees. It smells terrible. Sweet.
Yeah. Anywho's we are here, Stephen Horney. I'm Dr. Bo. We're Bo knows stuff here. Boom, bada boom. We're on my YouTube. We're on my Facebook. This is going to be on the podcast. Bo knows stuff wherever you get your fine podcasts, however you like it. Someone just loved it. Thank you, whoever's watching. I can't see who it is, but thank you. All right, so this is part 2 of checking out our 8 foundations of health with IPT, integrated physical therapy, and health sciences, and many more words that are scientific and things like that. And then I was looking back at the last one we did, and I talk too much, so I'm going to let you talk a lot more. But
wow, come on, no conversation.
I'm going to tee up what we talked about last time, the 8 foundations of health. And for anyone wondering why I'm wearing these lovely glasses, and you can actually see the reflection of the beautiful sunshine here in SoCal. So I'm actually going to take these off because, woo, that got bright and messed up my hair. Oh, boy. But those are blue light blocking glasses we talked about last time. Again, guys, you should definitely go check out that last episode. We covered a lot of very cool stuff. Blue light, again, what just happened is I opened up and all of the daylight, the blue light is the spectrum on which the sun light is setting our circadian rhythm. So when it's time to shut down, it is not natural for us to be looking at screens, which we are all in the habit of doing these days. And basically, we want to get you to block the blue light, get some glasses, get different devices, do less electronics at night, have no TV in your bedroom, blah, blah, blahs. So how'd you sleep last night?
I slept pretty well last night. How about yourself?
Pretty good. We're talking a little bit before we started. We're over here moving, getting ready, packing movers to the Colorado, leaving the sunshine of SoCal for the mountains, the Rocky Mountains. Exciting times. The doggy's very excited. So let's jump into it. I do have a hard cap here on time. Yes, and last time we talked about your 8 foundations of health. I only have 5. I'm trying to be like you one day. And we covered 4 because we could talk about each one for a long time. And I'm going to review the 4 that we covered, and then I'm going to let you run and just run the show, man. Number 1 was diet and digestion. I was looking at your, and anyone wants the resource, it's free on your website, the IPT website, and you can get all the ebook of the 8 foundations. They're breaking it down. So on there, it's a little bit different than what it is now. So that might have been the previous iteration.
Yep.
When's the next one due?
Oh, Lord, it's kind of like constantly evolving. I think I just need to put a cap that every 6 months, I'll just put it out as the new instead of constantly trying to be updating it.
Yes.
It's fine as new research comes in, as I learn and take new courses, just like anyone else.
You're not allowed to grow and learn.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not allowed to have been perhaps not as correct as I could possibly be today. What?
Well, I'll share this insider medical system quote that I'm sure Stephen knows. Those listening, though, might appreciate this if you've never heard it. When we go through any kind of medical training, this is something I heard from many different professions, but you're told about half of what you're learning right now in school is wrong and will be wrong because the science changes, and that's just the nature of it. So unfortunately, we don't know which half, obviously. So you got to learn everything. You got to take your boards, get licensed, and then take it from there. So things are always changing, including our 8 foundations of health, which is why we're talking about it. We're breaking it down, trying to make sure you guys are on the same page as us. So we had diet and digestion. Number 1, we covered in depth. Hydration kind of makes sense as the next progression. Diet, digestion, hydration, all together. Stress and sleep, 3 and 4, whichever order you want to go with there.
Yeah, quite connected.
And all about the alliteration / sleep and stress less and Streep, Meryl Streep. I don't know. I'm mixing it all up. Sleep and stress. And the next one, exercise is the next one. Yes, that
Yeah, exactly.
In terms of the order, and exercise and ergonomics is the next kind of pairing there. But just for alphabetical purposes, no other reasons. And are you doing ergonomics or environment? Because again, in the ebook,
yeah, exactly. More environment. I feel like I am working on the chemical environment as far as trying to make sure that your toxins are as low as possible. I would never try and pretend like I aspire to be an expert as some of the experts are. And especially that research is budding, just like a lot of research on what's practical, what's real, what's tangible. Kind of you're always looking for the biggest impact. Like, what's the lowest hanging fruit that I can have as far as my chemical environment to make sure that I can make a good positive impact. And I think kind of the best soundbite out of all that is that in today's environment, you will encounter toxins no matter what you do. And really getting your body to clear them, which I mean, exercise, sweating, those sorts of things, which are wrapped into the other of our foundations of health, are going to be really helpful towards making sure that you clear. But if you can avoid them in the first place, that's obviously a great way to reduce your toxicity and therefore your physical environment. But yeah, physical environment or ergonomics is another huge one. And then our other two are, I know you got them right there.
Breathing and connection.
And connection is very exciting.
Bada bing, bada boom.
3 parts to that. I snuck in. I think connection to self. I know it's kind of like a dick move where I'm like,
it's the 17 foundations.
Exactly. But each subsection has, So that's to self, to community, and to nature. So that kind of covers a lot of the things. And I think you probably run into the same problems that I run into is someone comes in for their shoulder. Let's say that, and this is the most common one, is like someone comes into me for their shoulder and I would love to talk to them about how well they digest, what their diet is like,
right?
What maybe I see that their skin isn't exactly where it looks like it should be, or you can tell that maybe they're not like, maybe that they're struggling with their state of mind, which is another thing. Like your skin, your shit, your sanity are 3 really good indicators for your gut health.
You and your alliterations.
Yeah, exactly. I made that up. I really did.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah. Skin, shit, and sanity.
Boom.
Triple S.
And if that person, and kind of like this is the way to think about it is I'm not saying that there's not something going on, that there shouldn't or isn't a local inflammatory process going on at that person's shoulder. I just know that if there, and we'll take a perfect example of something we talked about the last time, but if there is an imbalance in the bacteria in their small intestine, their immune system knows that that's there and it's going to try and fight that. The way that it fights that is it goes systemic with creating a lot of inflammation, because that's what it would do. If it thought that there was bacteria here, it would try and just fight. And you need to bring the whole body into it. Mm-hmm. And that is going to create an amplification of the inflammatory process that's happening at the shoulder. And so that's where I always think that it's important to address. But I know that especially people in this kind of MRI, Western medicine, like I am here for a shoulder supraspinatus tendinopathy because I have an MRI that says shoulder supraspinatus tendinopathy, and I have a doctor's prescription that says supraspinatus tendinopathy, and I looked on the internet with my Google MD, and I know everything about it, and this is what I want you to do. And it's like, can we just zoom out a little bit? Probably the same way that I think that regional interdependence caught some really good fire, which I think a lot of people were already treating like that. But Gray Cook, I think, did a good job of bringing some kind of like a little bit with his more joint by joint approach. Really, regional interdependence started in traditional Chinese medicine, but we can talk about that another day. But being able to zoom out from not just kind of the shoulder to the middle back, I know this is crazy, but then to look at the person truly as a whole, I think is really important and something that takes a lot of time. But again, you kind of got to give them, bless you, nice mute, that you got to give them what they want and you got to give them what they need all in that first session. And if I can send them an ebook and have them peruse it on their own time and then make that first session more of what they want and maybe more of the homework, a little more of what they need, I think I'm doing the best that I can for them on that day. And everybody's different. Some people come and they're like, no, that's what I want to talk about. But I think today in 2021, which feels great to say, we got to 2020, in 2021, more people, like even I had an evaluation this week where she was like, no, I actually really seek out holistic providers. Like, let's have those conversations. And I was so excited about it.
Yeah. And it's a delicate balance. For sure. I mean, I would guesstimate in my career. You're a lot older than me now. You're a little bit older. You're a little bit older than me.
Crusty as hell. I'm just so.
I graduated 2008 from PT school. I think you were a few years ahead of me, but that mathematically would make this my 13th year of practice. Yeah. However many people I've seen over that course of time. And you know, we talk about the lab, right? And this is PT practice. You're always learning and putting those data points together as a clinician. So I bring that up to say, over those years, you know, thousands of athletes in a CrossFit gym, in the physical therapy clinic, the majority of those injuries, like you're saying, some of them are just that local problem, but there's such a significant percentage that are more and this inflammatory process. In fact, something I've been doing recently with this virtual life, and I'm trying to avoid being in person with people per se, and moving around now. I'm all over the place. So I've been kind of consulting with a few physical therapy clinics. So somebody comes in for an ACL rehab, and it's a difficult thing. Again, it's unless it's you've been practicing this concept of like, and this dance of, you know, coming across as like, I know your knee is the diagnosis, and you have your orthopedic surgeon and the MRI and all this and Dr. Google and all that. But I want to talk to you about your diet, your poop, you know, all this other stuff. So that's something I've been doing as like, hey, you as a clinician don't have time for that. Either you're busy or you really want to just make sure they're feeling good on their knee. Let me be the guy to supplement, to complement, and I'm taking them through virtually those conversations around sleep, stress, connectivity, all these other aspects of health and wellness. So that's something, again, we can all do virtually. Most clinicians don't know how to necessarily refer out for that. Most patients don't know to look for that because they're like, my knee hurts, fix my knee. And so like you're saying, I think that those are very important points to harp on.
And I think for a lot of people to start with, you know, let's say you're a younger or a newer clinician, regardless of your biological age, being an N of one, you know, like playing around with yourself. Last name's Horney, talking about playing with yourself. Well, this was fun. I'll see you later. Now it's nice to like experiment with yourself. You don't have to make that person the first person. You're allowed to do that yourself, so that then you have some sort of story and some sort of anecdote to tell them. And it doesn't have to come across as an authoritarian thing. Like, you got to do this because of this. And you'd be like, hey, I know what you're saying. Like this is like for me, when I was surfing the last time, like both of my shoulders hurt a little bit. And that typically when there's something on both sides, like, oh, both of my knees are kind of bothering me, but both of my shoulders or both of my big toes, that's when I start to really think, okay, let's think about something systemic. And, you know, I'll play around with some stuff with my diet and that sort of stuff. And then I have something to go back to that person. It doesn't always have to be so textbook, like, learn on yourself, always be experimenting. I think you would say this, I'm sure you do this, as N of one, like always try stuff on yourself, be the experiment.
I actually tried to get a few folks to help me build an app. So if anyone out there wants and is an app person, I tried to get an app where you can track your metrics and what are we really focusing on. Because again, all these experiments that you're talking about, and I wanted to call it like the N=1 app.
Nice.
And so again, when I work with clients, and that's the part too, is like most of us need that guidance. Like we don't, no offense to a stockbroker who just might have made a whole bunch of money on GameStop or what have you.
Yeah.
Or not, yeah, or might have lost a bunch of money on it, But again, I don't expect them to be an expert in the body. Just like I didn't even jump into the GameStop situation because I'm like, I don't know what that is. I don't know what cryptocurrency is. I'm not interested. I'm passionate about the body. If I have 20 minutes of mental energy, I understand the benefits of, some financial savings, understanding tax codes and this and that. But at the end of the day, like we're here to help you. So find a coach, unless you want to start studying it. But again, just doing a little Google search and things like that. Unfortunately, those systems are not great for doctor Googling. For, again, the medical system is just there to, not that it's always wrong. But again, when it's like, hey, you have patellofemoral pain syndrome, to me, it's like nobody cares. Like I don't want to like completely throw anyone under the bus, but that to me is we call some of us in the industry, I don't know if you say the same thing, but it's like a junk pail term. It's a garbage kind of canned term.
It's like a throwaway diagnosis. Or like
it sounds fancy, right? Oh, patellofemoral pain syndrome. Like this guy knows what he's talking about. But at the end of the day,
you're right. It does sound so fancy.
It sounds amazing. Chondromalacia. Ooh.
I know. That was big when we first started practicing.
Yeah.
Chondromalacia was hot.
And there's a whole bunch of SI joint dysfunction. Like it sounds like, oh, you figured it out. But at the end of the day, it means very little as a diagnosis.
You got a weak hip. Doesn't sound like I should have had to give you $500 to tell me that.
Right, exactly. So, and again, patellofemoral pain syndrome to me literally translates to you have pain at your knee. And that's all we're saying in 2 extra words or whatever. So anywho's it's. The medical system is flawed, and there's holes and there's gaps. And again, folks like us hopefully are bringing some of this stuff to light. And I do want to again call back Easter egg, if you will. He just found out what Easter egg means.
I did. Thanks, wife. Yeah.
We talked about Dr. Michael Ruscio's book, and after our last call, I went and ordered it. I had not read it before. I'd heard him on podcasts and things like that. I'm familiar with a lot of the concepts in it. I'm not done with the book yet. It's been about a month since we had that last chat. So I'm going to use that excuse as to why I didn't finish. What I will say, if you're a late-ish person out there listening and you want to get that book, it's pretty thick. There's a lot of references, a lot of resources. So it's got really good information, and I think it's very digestible, ironically. But at the end of the day, too, it's a little dry. It's not written for a novelization. But there's really good stuff in there. And again, I'm enjoying the ride so far. And again, it's linking up with a lot of the other things I know. But let's talk back to the experimentation concept. So that's where, again, a lot of folks, again, if I have knee pain, like what am I connecting to that knee pain? I need someone like you or me to guide that process for my patient to say, hey, like, does my sleep really matter? Like, does my, nutrition really matter? The types of poops I'm taking, how does that all connect? So if you don't know those pieces, you don't know what to track, then, that experimentation becomes kind of moot in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah. And I think that I think the reason you probably have your 5 and the reason that I have my 8 or whatever number,
17.
Yeah, exactly. 8 plus a little sneak attack there. I think that it is so that we can almost set it and forget it, so that know that if they're addressing these 5 and I know that they're addressing these 8 plus,
right,
that then I don't have to break out the magnifying glass and look for anything other than those 8, because if one of those is totally dog shit, like let's say their sleep is totally dog shit, that's your lowest hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Like, that's why they're not recovering.
Right.
Okay, great. Now we can go with it.
Right. There's the actionable component to all this that I would say that, again, if anyone's like, I love that these guys are nerds and talking about all this fun stuff, but what does it mean? To me, that's what it comes down to. That's what all these different components come down to is, if you're not meeting these basic concepts. Like, I have a few folks working on their nutrition with me. I'm just thinking like, what's right in front of my face, who just texted me. And I just checked in on one guy, like, how's your sleep? He's like, what sleep? And, and I'm like, I just want to make sure you understand, like, all the food changes we're going to make of like, Chipotle and no sour cream and like whatever little things we're going to do. If you're not sleeping at least 6 quality hours, and like, that's a real minimum, that's already pushing it. Like, we're fighting against the like this big fire. And we're doing the best. We're throwing like, my bottle of water on it. But we're not, we're not the firefighters aren't here yet. So, when the sleep happens, that's when like, okay, this fire went from, raging to, 50% lower. So that's the analogy I use there of like, what are we, and people are always asking me like, okay, we're going to do a 30-day reset and we're going to eliminate grains, legumes, dairy. Okay. Can I have this? Well, you were taking the fire from like 100, and the goal is to get it down to like whatever, 60 or 50 over those 30 days. And we're trying to get it down, whatever, 1 point every day. By adding that in, you're slowing down that process that we're doing. So it's semi-inflammatory. It's not as bad as other things, but like, I get you miss your ice cream. I get all that, but it's up to you of like, if you really want to clean your stuff up, if you really want to make that progress, those are the conversations we need to have. And it has to become, that's the other part for me too. It's not just telling you for the next 30 days, don't eat these things because they're bad. And then day 31, back to whatever you want to eat. And I'm focusing a little bit on just the food side, but to me, it's the same concept around, building these habits and these basic lifestyle components. So like, again, an actionable one for me is 10 minutes after every single meal, go for a 10-minute walk. Like it's going to help digestion it's going to give you a little bit of movement. We're knocking out like 5 of your 5 of your 17. And I keep picking on that, but I will say my 5 instead of 8 definitely have, subcomponents as well. So we really calculate
you and your Olympic rings, my friend.
Cheers to that. Yeah, man. So, but like little habits like that, do you have another habit like that you think everyone should be doing, or does it come down to experimentation? Because again, to me, something like that 10-minute walk, again, that's not always possible, I guess, but again, and what, like, are we talking, do we get down to the nitty gritty of like, oh, if you have a snack, like, you don't need to go for the walk, or, like, all things. But do you have one you could share?
This is going to be kind of personal. I'm actually going to take you through the oddities of my day just real quick. I may regret this, but let's go for it. Because I actually took the weird things that I do and have done. Like, my quest for health has been, it sounds weird. My buddy Peter DeQuino, one of the best, I talk about him pretty much on every single cast that I'm on, just because he's so influential. He is one of the best clinicians in Manhattan. He's an acupuncturist, and he's the best health coach that I know. With all that being said, he was kind of like, hey man, like, did you ever maybe think like what you eat and what you drink might be affecting your neck and big toe and left shoulder and like all this shit? And I was like, I just like for a long time kind of just was like, no way. And then I was on a cruise ship. This is like, it was Carnival cruise ship. And maybe I already shared this, but I'll share it again. And it was one of those libraries that's like the size of a big closet, and you're supposed to like take a book, leave a book, whatever. And I picked up Wheat Belly, and I started reading it just while I was there, maybe like 50 pages on that 1 week cruise or whatever it was. And so I was just like, from today on, I'm just going to only have gluten 1 time a day. That's it. So I'm not even saying like cutting it. I'm just saying like cutting it totally out. I just cut it down. And that started, I felt better with that. So I cut it down more. I started reducing meat, which
the big fire was going down, folks.
It was
big
crazy.
fire.
From beer to wine. But like those, if you took all of the little funny things that I've changed, I actually kind of wrote them down, and it comes out to about like 99 different things that I've changed about my life.
Right.
And so I'm actually working on it right now. I just have to have like a graphic designer put it up because I have my 99, but I'm going to do my try 99, where you can, in any order you want, do the 99 weird things that Steve has done for health. and see how you like them. It's just called a try 99. It's not even anything more than that. Like if you didn't like that week, then go right back to what you were doing. Totally fine. So sorry for wasting your time.
I like that.
So the habits, let's go. Okay. So I wake up.
There were a lot of rhymes in there.
Yeah, always.
And I kept thinking of Jay-Z's 99 Problems.
Yeah.
But anyway.
This list ain't one of them. Yeah.
Ah, there you go. There it is.
Hey now. So for me, we'll take you through the weird day that is Steve. So wake up, which is a redundant thing to say. Clearly, Steve, everybody wakes up. The first thing that I do.
Well, not everybody, unfortunately.
Rest in peace, Grandpa.
You do until you don't.
Yeah, exactly. So I get out of bed and I immediately have some warm tea while I'm dropping a deuce while I'm reading. So for me, I think the most important thing that you can have for your brain when you first get up is to read. To me, reading is like cardio, and kind of focused meditation is like strength training. And I think that 3 pages at least of a book has to be consumed as the first thing that you do.
Fiction,
and the last
nonfiction.
Whatever, all things, but more in the fiction, autobiographies, kind of like fun stuff.
Okay.
I'm not picking up Healthy Gut, Healthy You most of the time, but sometimes.
It is serious. Along those lines, I did want to ask, so there's something called, I guess, was it Morning Pages? Have you heard of this?
No, what is it?
So similar concept, but instead of taking in, you write, and you write for 3 pages. So just a slightly different thing. And again, this is to our theme, I guess, of experimentation. And so, some people, there's the 5-minute journal, another kind of concept. First thing you do when you wake up, you reflect 3 things you're grateful for. So you start the day with a gratitude, and you're just starting on this kind of, and the physiological benefits are just tremendous, because you're saying, like, I'm grateful to be alive, like saying that statement. And again, for me to say it just now, like, took me, and it was a pattern disrupt, and took me a little bit out of like my just whatever this conversation. Yeah. Like, I'm grateful for this body I have. Like, I'm grateful for my health. So you start going down these paths. So a little bit of a different concept, but again, reading, certainly a different way to and I guess the other part to your point, or if I may, is and a lot of people talk about this. It's similar to the food. It's not just about let's cut out all this bad stuff. It's also like what's better, and let's keep working towards better. So a lot of people, what is the first thing most people do when they wake up? Check their phone, check their email. Boom, you're bombarded with, oh man, I got this deadline, and this guy's upset, and maybe this person's happy, but like whichever way it goes, you're at the mercy of those emails or your social media or whatever it is. Did I get enough likes from that post I did yesterday? Like, so anyway, back to you.
Yeah, that's going to happen anyway, but I try and push that off as far as possible every day. So I'm dropping a deuce, reading a book. The next thing I'll do, if time allows for it at that moment in time, a workout is great. That was happening early on in April, May, June, like straight away. Right now, life's a little bit different, and that's fine. Straight into a 20-minute focused meditation. So not just like opening up my mind to whatever thoughts, actually kind of doing the opposite.
I'm gonna time out here and just reinforce the fact you don't have children.
Yeah, exactly. I do not. Yeah.
For those who might be listening and like, what is this guy talking about? So no, that's okay. And again, like, I totally am for everything you're talking about, but
yeah, totally. No, I don't have any.
I've just heard these criticisms of like, screw this guy.
And totally fair and reasonable. And I'm just telling you my routine. I am not, and I think I totally hear you. And I've heard these conversations happen on podcasts between like parents and non-parents. Right. And I totally get it. So just telling you how it's going. Yeah. Totally understand the pushback.
No, I'm not pushing back. I'm just having fun.
Yeah,
Keep going.
So 20-minute meditation, great. Then have a little bit of food. Ideally, honestly, like, I don't know if you make your own almond milk. My wife makes almond milk, and it's like
How do you make almond milk?
Dude, it's so easy. You just take a cup of almonds.
The almonds? Do you squeeze
exactly.
them?
You have to milk their little teeth.
Yes.
So
I have nipples, fucker.
Yeah. Can you milk me?
Yeah.
So you take a cup of almonds, a pinch of salt, little bit of vanilla, and dates. Dates are the thing that makes it sweet. That's it. And then you put it in a cheese bag, like, little bags.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you could even use like your t-shirt. Just got to put it through something. So take that fresh almond milk with some fruit, throw it into a blender. Awesome. Great grand. Everything's going on.
Oh, so it eventually, the almonds like dissolve from the other components?
You end up with almond pulp, which you can make into hummus, or you can make into like really just hummus, to be honest with you. You can use it in like balls, like granola balls, and then you have the juice or like.
I'm not going to be that healthy, but yeah, go on with your bad self.
Exactly. So and then I'm just going to move straight on. So I go outside, glasses off, make sure I get some sunlight on my eyes, like ASAP. Driving to work, obviously do my work, go for it, try and exercise. Super important. By now my phone's back on and everything's going fine. Like I said, what's up?
Can I jump in on the sunlight thing? So if it's, again, you're in the Northeast, New York City area. If it's the winter months, instead of sunlight, are you supplementing with vitamin D lamp, 10,000 LUX, any of that stuff?
Yeah, I supplement with vitamin D supplement, but I don't. And I think that the lamp would actually be a phenomenal thing. With that being said, I still work out like every day outside. I try not to I try and get as much sunlight. Last time we talked, I had just gone surfing. Like, granted, I'm head to toe in rubber, but still, like, I hear what you're saying.
But you're not doing sunscreen,
Correct.
Do you do any in the summer, or if you're going to be out for a few hours?
Start out in the morning with no sunscreen, and then apply when necessary.
Yeah. Perfect. I like that concept.
Yeah, and then if I go surfing too, I make sure I don't wear my glasses or my obviously not glasses, but I don't wear my contacts to try and actually get some melanopsin to be created, which is always nice to have in your body, like you were talking about with the blue blocking glasses.
Yeah. And for anyone listening who might just want that extra information and might not be familiar with it, I'll just say the point there is to get as much sun on your skin and in your eyes, not like directly in your eyes. Don't stare at the sun, kids, aka former president. But
who hasn't done that? I'm not sticking up for the guy in any regards, but I don't think I've actually seen an eclipse that I didn't at least real quickly be like, well, that hurt.
But anyway, the point is it's going to set your circadian rhythm. So that's why the blue light at night throws off your circadian rhythm and messes up your sleep cycles. So we're trying to have more regular sleep cycles so that you have the same kind of go to sleep time, the same wake up time, the same, in the morning, theoretically, you're getting that start of your day rhythm. We're talking about hormones. There's all these different things going on. You have a cortisol rhythm that should be happening and that some folks will look at. So anyway, back to you.
Yeah. So then, just regular work, which luckily is pretty active and will include some exercise. So it kind of in my mind, I've already hit the tea in the morning. So I'm starting that hydration, diet and digestion. I think I eat pretty clean. And only because of N of one, I'm not married to what I'm eating today. I am just trying to be very in tune with my body, saying does my body like this or does my body not like this today?
Right. And our bodies will change over time, right? And you've been experimenting for the last 15, 20 years?
No, really the last 5 to 7 years is when I started to realize that maybe the things I put into my body affected my body.
Yes. Go crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah.
And I used to be, I'll add my little story here. The dog just got back from some playtime. I used to be the men's health guy. That was my thing. And I was whole wheat pasta, low fat yogurt. And I was why am I not seeing a six pack? Why do I not feel healthy? And then I discovered those are all things that I never want to put in my body. For various reasons, which we won't get into right now necessarily that deep, but the similar kind of concept of if I try to eliminate these things, let me try it and let me see how that feels. And literally, my shoe size shrunk. I went from a size 10 to a 9.5. And then over multiple years, and again, I don't know if I was just fitting into a bigger shoe, but I literally now I fit into a 9.
Well, I think you were inflamed. I would assume that was just general.
That's my N of 1 story, pseudoscience, if you will. Anyone who's seen Game Changers, like they show these things that is like not really super scientific, but for me, it's pretty scientific of like, this happened. Like you can look at my old shoes and I was wearing size 10s. And then I'm like, oh, like I fit really well into a 9.5. And again, over time, continuing to be a little more strict and competing in CrossFit and all this stuff, taking all this stuff more seriously, less alcohol, all that stuff. I fit into a size 9 like very comfortably now. I still like a lot of my shoes. I have a lot of shoes. We're moving them. They cost a lot of money to move. So, but they're the 9.5 still are there. But I haven't worn a 10 in a long time. So I think it's inflammation of, and we see this happen with women, and they're when they're pregnant, they're retaining water, that kind of thing. But similar concept, I guess, of like that, just inflammation. And again, by not having inflammation in my gut as much, it allows my kind of 6-pack to show a little bit more. I'm not that eager, and I love foods too much that I'm not going to avoid, like, completely being 100% clean for a long enough period of time that I'm going to be at whatever 10% body fat so that all my 6-packs will show, because I'm married. I don't need all that. So anyway,
that's useless. You're not 26. You don't have to have
and again, showing a 6-pack is not always the biggest sign of long-term health. But obviously, there's these things that we're discovering, like you're talking about, of where do I feel healthy? Where's my brain fog? Where's my energy for the day? So all these different concepts. And again, so far for your day, I would say mine is relatively similar. So keep going.
Cool.
Back to you, Steve, in the studio.
Yes, exactly. So I think I'm at work right now, and maybe I've worked out a little bit. That's great. And then I think maybe the nighttime routine is where like things get a little.
All right, let's jump back to the workout, because that is one of your 8.
Oh yeah, of course.
But like, what kind of workout is it? Is it low intensity? Are you lifting something heavy? Are you doing cardio? Are you doing 6-pack abs?
It depends on the day, and that's where
6-minute abs, bro. 6
I
minutes.
know that's it. That's all you need. No. You're thinking pre-time, and it's clearly gorgonzola here. So for me, my workouts are very different every single day.
Okay.
So I will
constantly varied.
What's up? Yeah, exactly.
Varied, high intensity.
Sometimes it's high intensity.
Functional movements.
Totally functional movements. If I don't deadlift,
it's clearly going over your head.
Like every buzzword ever.
No, it's the definition of CrossFit. That's one of the ways.
What is it? Sorry.
That's one of the ways. No, it's okay. You don't have to be familiar with my cult that I used to be a part of. That's okay. But yeah, that's one of the definitions of CrossFit is constantly varied functional movements performed at high intensity.
Okay.
So that's why it was an interesting, and some people take that to flipping tires and, deadlifting 400 pounds with rounded backs and all this stuff. But anyway, back to you.
Yeah, no. So as far as the exercise, I would say that I do steady state cardio. So when I talk about that, I'm saying and this is a great time to like connect layman's terms and what you and I might say. So one good way to improve your aerobic capacity, and I'm just going to use that, meaning the amount of energy that you can burn that's also using oxygen at the same time, is to do steady state.
I like to say lung capacity, or if that's not too inaccurate for you.
I don't know. It sounds. I actually saw a paper that was written about the difference between VO2 max, aerobic capacity. Like, I think
we can get into the nuance and the weeds on it, but
honestly, I actually don't. I wouldn't even care to, because that paper I walked away with being like, they're pretty close. Like, right. VO2 max and aerobic capacity
for like research purposes and textbooks, and we can get down that path. But at the end of the day, for me, I'll add the level of like how long can you keep your heart rate at 160, or what is your lung capacity? And again, not to keep talking about CrossFit by any means, but it's how much work can you do. So if it's a matter of I have 1,000 pounds over here, as again we're moving, apparently we have 8,000 pounds of stuff estimated, and that's what we're getting charged on. Which I don't like this system, man. Do a whole podcast about moving and the problems there. But he's estimating that we have 8,000 pounds. So if I have 8,000 pounds, and let's say we don't have trucks and things like that, okay, so I have to move that 8,000 pounds, let's say we're going to 2 houses over. I have to move it there. How quickly and how well can I move that 8,000 pounds versus how long is it going to take Steve here? So, if it takes me 7 hours and he's able to do it in 6 hours, he has more capacity than me. He has 1 hour more. He's done the work more efficiently. So anyway, back to you.
Yeah. So that's for me. And just, this is the way that I work with my clients, and that I do it with myself. Then I kind of do it with my brother, and then I do it with my wife, and then I bring it to the general population. Like anything that I want to do.
The experiments you're talking about?
Yeah, like experimenting as far as like, let's say that I go to a course, and let's say I just learned how to coach a Turkish get up a certain way. Like I'm going to do it myself a whole bunch. Yeah. Then I'm going to see if I can coach my brother on it. Then I'm going to see if I can coach my wife on it. And then I'm going to bring in some patients.
Right. So like usually this happens in like mice, and then maybe bigger animals. Exactly. And then eventually there's like human trials.
Precisely. Yeah. Exactly. So for me, when I'm talking about exercise, and this goes into the foundations of health, obviously, having a robust aerobic system, I think, is really important. One of the ways that whoever's listening to this right now, can improve your aerobic capacity is to make sure that your heart, which is a muscle, just like any other muscle, the last place in that heart, which has 4 chambers before it ends up going out into your body, is your left ventricle. And if you can get your left ventricle to be stretched, again, it's a muscle. It can be stretched or it can be tight, just like anything else. If you can get that to stretch and have the most, what's called eccentric hypertrophy, then you are the one step closer to having a better aerobic system. So in general, for anyone who's kind of wants some concrete things to do, anywhere between 60% of your heart rate, max heart rate, and 80% of your max heart rate is when that left ventricle is going to fill to its maximum before it squeezes that blood out. So if it's beating faster, it's not actually getting that stretch, because it's before it's totally full, it's going to kick that blood out. So somewhere, and if you needed a little bit higher guidelines as far as like 60 or 80, in more unconditioned people, it would be 60% of your max heart rate is when that left ventricle, again, the 4 chambers of the heart, left ventricle is the last place that it goes before it goes out in your body. That will get maximally filled at 60 to 70% of your max heart rate. And then for more trained people, it would be more on the 70 to 80%. Yeah. So I'm doing steady state cardio. For me, it's running at a certain pace that I'm watching my heart rate and just trying to keep within the navigational beacons. And I'll do that 2 times a week. But if I have a resting heart rate that's pretty low, like I have a pretty decent aerobic system. So for me, that's not the lowest hanging fruit. But if it was, do it 3 times a week. Go 45 to 90 minutes, heart rate between 60 and 80, and make sure that you're building up that aerobic system so that it can replay. Even if you don't consider your sport particularly aerobic, that will refill your other systems, your anaerobic systems, much more quickly.
So that's kind of like words here. So many fancy words.
I tried to use not fancy words. I was like trying to bring it down.
I was like, "Ooh, this is like Dr. Ruscio's book." It's a little. That's all right. But I want to off of that. No, I mean, hopefully our listeners are very, very well informed.
Yeah.
But here's my questions on that, if I may interject. It's my show, so I will interject. What are your goals? I'm gonna guess, and you tell me if I'm right or wrong. Are you just trying to be as healthy as you can and live as long as you can and do all the fun things like surf and things like that? So
exactly,
that's kind of your goals. You don't have a specific goal of like, I want to run a marathon. I need to get my time a little faster. So you're talking more generic, general goals. Okay, so that's one. B is, I used to have a professor who would do that. Like he would say one, like and then B. Like, no. But is the second thing would be, are you going? So there's the very basic way to do it. Have you ever done a VO2 test? How do you know your max heart rate? the standard one that if you Google it, guys out there listening, is 210 minus your age. So if you're 40 years old, your max heart rate estimated is 170. So when he's saying 60 to 80% off of that, you would do the math, whatever that is. I can't even do that math right now, but off of 170 being your max heart rate theoretically. So I know that with my Whoop, I look at some of my workouts, I'm still hitting some of my workouts 180. And you know, I am close to 40. So my theorized max heart rate should be 170, but I'm still hitting in that like 180. I think I can go higher, but I haven't really been pushing quite to that level for various reasons because I just don't want to. Anyway, but yeah, have you calculated your max heart rate?
Yeah, not even necessarily the max heart rate, but I actually use the Carvone. Like I use 220 minus my age as far as like
220, not 210.
Yeah, that's just what I use. But okay. Yeah,
I said 210. I was wrong.
You might be right, but
it's been a while. I'm gonna Google it while you're talking.
Yeah, go for it. And then for the intervals, again, if anyone who's listening wants to get in the weeds, it's the Carvonen, and I feel like I'm mispronouncing that method, which gives you your intervals, because you could just use that number and then that's fine. But what's actually a little bit better to do is kind of use a calculation that factors in your resting heart rate. So that's where you can get really nice, kind of even more precise heart rate.
New York City, folks. New York City right there with the sirens in the back.
Yeah, exactly.
And yes, it is 220. My bad.
Yeah, whatever.
That to me kind of confirms, because it is 220 minus, I'm almost 40. So maybe it is my max heart rate. I've been around 180, 182, somewhere in there. So that might be what I've been hitting so far. I should push that. I'm going to push that.
Well, yeah. And I think that kind of like leads, you're talking about heart rate and like kind of pushing it. The other sort of training that I'll do is threshold training, which is, again, to keep this as like user-friendly as possible. There is a heart rate where your body will typically go from being able to use oxygen, which is aerobic, what we're doing right here, right now. Let's say you start walking up some stairs. Okay, let's see how it goes. There then begins a point where your body has to flip over to anaerobic, which almost like kind of starts your clock onto when you will fail and stop. The easiest way to find out what that threshold is what's called a modified Cooper's test. So get your heart rate monitor.
There's a real Cooper's test.
Yeah, you know what? I did the real Cooper's test for like the 12-minute run test for my
that's the standard traditional Cooper test is a 12-minute run.
Yeah, as far as you possibly can.
As far as you can, that is your score, is however many meters or miles, however we're calculating it. And then the second component to that is what max heart rate did you hit at the 12-minute mark? You should still be pushing that max heart rate. And then how quickly does your heart rate recover for the first minute and the second minute? Right.
And so that's the full Cooper. The modified Cooper takes the average every 6. Correct? Like you do I do an assault bike, an echo bike, an airdyne, whatever you want.
Modified Cooper to me is just 6 minutes.
Modified Cooper is 6 minutes.
You're saying it measures every 6. I didn't know what you meant by that.
So when I did a modified Cooper, and I do them from time to time, I watch my heart rate every minute.
Yeah.
And then at the end of those 6 minutes, I average that heart rate, and then that gives me anaerobic threshold, or my where I switch over from aerobic to anaerobic.
Gotcha. Yeah. There's all sorts of fun calculations, and again, we're getting nerded out, folks.
It's fun.
So if at the end of the day, this is the kind of stuff. If you're a strength and conditioning nerd and you want to learn more, we can certainly go down that path. But if you're not as interested in geeking out on this, which I'm honestly, like, as much as I am, I'll be honest. Sometimes I'm kind of like, I just want to know the number and like, what does that mean for me and what do I have to do? So, so I don't mean to poo-poo it by any means. It's all very it's super interesting. I do journal clubs and we talk about this stuff and like, it's super interesting. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's like, okay, well, what am I testing my friend on here? You know, or your brother or your wife. So the modified Cooper 6 minutes, same kind of thing. And understanding when you're in that kind of fat burning zone, as well, right? So and that's what some people also call that like zone 2 cardio.
Yeah, that for me, honestly, like I know that there's some nomenclature around that I'm not particularly well versed in. Like all I'm trying to do is find that heart rate and then train at or a little bit above that heart rate to try and push that window open to make me hopefully, like you said, like a happier and healthier 90-year-old down the road.
Right. Cool, man. Well, we are running out
I
of
know.
time.
I feel like we didn't even we got to not, which is fine. This is my way to bait into a part 3 where we'll actually talk about breathing, connection to self, connection to community, connection to nature, and some more sleep and stress stuff.
You just need to stop lying about it being 8 foundations.
Yeah, exactly. I know. The fact that I'm like, next time we'll cover the other half of them, and I list out 7. Like, there's your 8.
Since we're geeking out on math, it feels like we did 4, then it went to 8, then it's gonna go to 16, then it goes to 32.
And I already got my 99. So
yeah, exactly. We're getting there.
Cool, man.
And what's the square root of 99?
33? Wait,
no.
3 goes at 3 times. What? What is it?
Oh, I don't know.
Ask my wife. I don't know.
It's like 9.8 something. Because
less than 10.
The square root of 100 is 10. Because 10 times 10 is 100. Math.
Boom shakalaka.
Boom shakalaka. One more time for the folks. We're going to go with the 8 that he has listed in his ebook. If you want the ebook, it is on IPT, iHealthSciences.com. Hydration.
Pop up, throw in your email address, download that book.
Yes, sir. Hydration, diet digestion.
Yep.
Diet digestion. Again, he's sneaking them in there. There's similarities, and I just called it eating, people. Eating. It's all under my eating. Sleep, stress, exercise, ergonomic / environment. And again, now we're talking about chemical environment, and we're talking about physical environment, mental environment. All right, then breathing and connection are the last ones. And you mentioned skin, shit, sanity. I like that, the 3 S's. I used to say when you're getting ready, you got to shit, shower, shave. And if you have time, you have sex. So shit, shower, shave, sex. But
I would say maybe your gut is linked with sex just from like a testosterone, estrogen kind of thing.
Oh, we can connect everything. And again, that's where, again, like the healthy gut, healthy you component is, it seems the gut is connected to everything. Hormones, your drive, everything. So all sorts of fun stuff there, folks. Go check out Stephen Horney. If you're in New York City, he's seeing folks in person, although I think he cut off any new patients because he's full. He's full. If you want to work with me online, hit me up. I'm all over the place. Bono Stuff podcast, Bono Stuff on YouTube, Dr. Boba Benko on Instagram. And if you're listening, I guess you're already on here. So we'll see you guys next time. Any other last thoughts for the kids?
No, man. Good luck with the move.
Thank you. We'll touch base soon. When I'm in Colorado, we can do part 17 of this conversation.
Exactly.
All right, guys.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We're signing.